In a small, underprivileged town nestled within a snow-covered mountain range, silence reigned over the empty streets. This was a place forgotten by the world, where rumors of creature sightings were whispered but never taken seriously. For one resident, those rumors were about to become a reality. It was a cold December night, the kind that chills the bones. A lone figure walked into the woods, undeterred by the blizzard that howled around him. Despite the warnings, despite the stories, he ventured into the fog-laden trees, alone and unaware of what waited for him. As he wandered deeper into the forest, the darkness seemed to close in around him. Then, he heard a faint, distant screeching sound. It echoed through the trees, growing louder with each step he took, surrounding him from all directions. Desperation led him to a hunter's post hidden high in a tree. It was old and weathered, but in that moment, it offered the only shelter from the storm. He climbed up, finding a dusty map on the floor and a box in the corner. This place would have to be his refuge, at least for now. He tried to rest, his eyes heavy with exhaustion, but sleep was impossible. The eerie screeching had faded, only to be replaced by a new sound scratching. It came from below, deliberate and insistent, like claws against the wood of the ladder. Fear tightened in his chest. Through a crack in the floorboards, he saw a creature unlike anything he'd ever imagined. Its skin was pale white, marred by black splotches, and its eyes locked onto his with a terrifying intelligence. Paralyzed by fear, he could do nothing but stare. In a desperate move, he fumbled through the box and found a flare. Lighting it, he thrust it downward, casting a red glow that revealed a horrifying truth: the creature was not alone. Two more stood beside it, their eyes gleaming in the firelight. The flare slipped from his hand, spinning as it fell. It landed on one of the creatures, and the forest was filled with a blood-curdling scream. The last thing he remembered was the searing light, the creature's twisted face, and the icy cold as darkness took him. When he awoke, the storm had passed, and the creatures were gone. The woods were silent and still, as though the nightmare had never happened. But he knew, as he stared into the empty forest below, that something beyond explanation had occurred. Days later, he sat with two hunters around a crackling fire, recounting his story. Their faces darkened with recognition as they spoke of their own encounters. Each tale ended the same: a slow descent into unconsciousness, making it feel like nothing more than a dream. 2 years later, he stood at the edge of the dark forest once more, a grim determination in his eyes. This time, he wasn't alone, and he wasn't unprepared. Together, they would uncover the truth about the creatures that haunted these woods. But he knew one thing for certain this time: they would not be forgotten.